Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Coxie. I'm the leader of Women in DeFi. And with me here we have three awesome guys who've taken us in session of DeFi for financial empowerment. So I'll give the stage to Toby to give a little bit of description of what the session is all about. Then the other people can just come in and take charge as well. So Toby, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Coxie. Hi, everyone. My name is Toby Akinrede. I'm a software engineer, and I've been in the blockchain space for about almost 5 years now. I'll allow my colleagues to just introduce themselves briefly before I tell you guys about what the workshop is about. Mark.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Mark Irozuru. I am a lead DevOps engineer at Botanics Labs. Botanics Labs is an L2 or layer 2 Bitcoin solution. I've been in the blockchain space for about 5 years also. Stephen.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, everyone. My name is Steven Olabode. I'm a senior DevOps at Schroders Personal Wealth. And I've also been in the DevOps space for a little over 3 years, not as much as this other guys here, but yeah, we are just here to talk to you about some interesting topic, and I'll give it back to Toby.
Yeah. So,
One more
like,
thing. One more
you go.
thing. Go on. I would love to tell you ladies that, or you guys, everybody, that if you stay to the end of the session, we have like a little quiz for you to answer, and we have prizes to give to everybody. Like the first 10 to 20 people that answer that questions correctly, we're going to give you some cash, like good cash. So please stay to the end of the session. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section. So, Toby, please go ahead.
Yeah, like the slide says, you can see, this is not a financial. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a software engineer, and I know the topic of the workshop is a bit catchy. So ideally, that's the idea. So DeFi for financial empowerment. What I want to say is before whatever you take away from this course, I mean, it's okay that you probably here because of probably the money bit. Most people go into crypto because of the a lot of money, and either you miss an opportunity to buy, or you're looking to buy, or you wanted to grow your salary, or you just wanted to improve yourself, or you wanted to build a killer app. That's totally fine. There's no shame in that. Just hope you do make do with whatever you take away from this workshop, and he is able to help you your career and stay for the paradigm shift, basically. So, yeah, I'm going to start. So what is DeFi? I'm sure you guys are mostly you might probably be used very familiar with DeFi itself. It's a word you guys have been used has been thrown around a lot, and this is just the first one sentence. It's just finance is defined as the management of money, and includes activities like saving, borrowing, lending, investing, budgeting, and forecasting. Finance can be seen as a societal tool to manage resources, risk, and rewards across the space between time between entities. So it's just more or less like your traditional finance. But now we're introducing decentralized finance, which is what DeFi means. And this is the term used for software built on programmable open source blockchains using smart contracts. The aim is to transform traditional finance products into reliable, permissionless, transparent, and financial products. Sorry, the aim is to transform financial products into reliable, permissionless, transparent, and censorship-resistant protocols without centralized intermediaries. In some ways, DeFi protocol devs are writing firmware for scalable societal collaboration and resource allocation. Yeah, we'll probably the best way to relate to this is the aim is to make for example in Nigeria, if you wanted to make an international transfer, you have to probably wait for like 2 or 3 days. If you wanted to open a bank account, you have to bring your what's it called, your utility bill, you bring your NIN, you bring all those data. This all that is just a lot of things you have to do, and also it's operated by a central authority in the sense that if CBN flags your account one time, they can just block your account. You don't have access to that account anymore. Basically, they are the controlling power. But DeFi is just basically bringing the finance aspect, putting the power in your hands, basically. and you get to open it. You can just, if you have your wallet, you are participating in the DeFi protocol, you get to do whatever you want with your money, and the power is in your hands. No central authority, and you can relax that your money is safe, and they're not just going to call you in 2 days time and say, oh, you can't get the money back easily. You can deposit USDC into a DeFi lending protocol like Compound on Monday, and interest automatically distributed lock everywhere. You can withdraw your funds on a Tuesday afternoon. No one is going to tell you you have to probably wait 24 hours before you withdraw your funds, and you're not interacting with only one bank. Or this, you're filling a form, going to a bank to do waiting several hours before they're able to attend to you. I mean, the power is in your hands basically, and is also decentralized, permissionless. You can see everything. Basically, you can see everything going on, and no one's trying to hide anything from you. So yeah, that's the short introduction of what DeFi is. So this next slide talks about the traditional finance bottlenecks. What we have with traditional finance, basically. Traditional finance operates on proprietary closed systems requiring third parties, banks, brokers that create geographic wealth based on bureaucratic barriers to entity, resulting in financial exclusion for large and global populations. Basically, the economy of wherever you're situated, or the political party, or whoever is ruling the party, they basically rule the traditional finance. Basically, you'll be able to relate by, sometimes CBN told you you cannot spend more. You have to withdraw. The least you can withdraw from your money is a particular amount. All those bottleneck, all those rules that come with the political system or the economy. That's just the immediate bottleneck of using a traditional finance. And the next slide talks about the next part is about smart contracts. Smart contracts is code is law. And what this means is irreversible state changes. Basically, once this is deployed, that's done. You can't change it. Imagine a world where they tell you, if you put your money in here, you're always going to get 5% interest in every 10 days. That's just an example. That cannot be changed. It's not, for sometimes when you buy shares in the bank, they'll they'll promise you 5% interest. But at the end of the year, something happens, the interest drops. It's not the same. But this is smart contract is, once you deploy a smart contract, it's fixed. You can't, whatever they've deployed is what is deployed. It's not going to change. You can see the code yourself. You can read it. You can interpret it. This means vulnerability or logic or error deployed on chain becomes a permanent, unpatchable technical debt. There is no undo button, making security bugs catastrophic. Yeah. In the next part, it talks about the execution layer, which is the blockchain part, which is like L1's like Ethereum. What they currently struggle with in L1 like Ethereum is high transaction costs, making financial transactions economically not viable for mass markets and use cases. This is where some L2s come in, where they try and make faster transaction puts with lower cost gas costs like Solana, Polygon, and all that. Yeah. There are some core characteristics of DeFi I'm going to talk about. Like I mentioned earlier on, we have permission. It's permissionless. It must be trustless, composable, transparent, and immutable. Permissionless means basically no gatekeeper. Anyone can interact and can participate. Anyone with an internet connection can access DeFi protocols. No credit checks. They're not doing account approvals. No one is asking you for permission from the bank or where you situated your house address and all of that. It's permissionless. Another part is the composable. Protocols can be combined like money Legos. But what this means is DeFi protocols are financial Lego blocks that snap together. This is a bit linked up to like interoperability. You guys have probably heard about that before. These protocols, they need to talk to each other, basically combine lending, trading, like decentralized exchanges and other services, and they create like these financial products. Another part is trust steps. Code executes. No need to trust the bank. You don't need to trust another person or an institution. The code itself enforces all rules and executes transactions automatically. mathematically guaranteeing outcomes. So you can always trust that what is deployed is definitely going to what's going to come up. Like if the code that is deployed is just it's going to execute, no need to trust the bank. Um, another part is the transparent part. All transactions are publicly verifiable. The first explanation of a blockchain I came across with is imagine you have a central marketplace or a community where everyone you can see everybody's name, everybody, nothing is hidden to you, and basically we can see what this person owns, and if this person sends money, so if A sends money to B, you can always see nothing is hidden, and if A tells you he has this account, this amount in his balance, and you can see the transaction A made to make a payment, so you can see everything is visible. No one is trying to yeah, basically all the transactions are available. Every line of code, every protocol rule is publicly visible on the blockchain, creating unprecedented accountability and auditability in finance. The last one is immutable. Transactions are final. Once transactions are deployed, that's it. You the chances of if you make an error in deploying in your code and you've deployed it, and yeah, it can be catastrophic basically. And I will show you guys some examples of some major DeFi acts that has happened over the years. Okay. The next one is the next slide talks about the architecture overview of a DeFi. I'm going to start from the bottom and go up. Yeah, the blockchain layer. The blockchain layer is think of blockchain layer as the rails of that DeFi runs on basically. That's the is the like a train, the rails of a train. That's what DeFi runs on. It provides the decentralized ledger where all financial transactions are permanently recorded, and the execution environment where smart contracts are automatically enforce agreements without banks or brokers. The layer determines the speed, cost, and security characteristics that break or make the DeFi applications built on top of it. Yeah. And the next part is the smart contract layer, which is the self-executing code on the blockchain. The smart contracts, like my colleague Steven is going to tell you more a bit after about smart contracts. Smart contracts are the code, like I said earlier, code is law. They are code written basically that you deploy on chain where you execute your code, basically what you want your application to do, that where your application logic is, what do you want, how much you want to allocate. For example, if you're building an interest like a lending protocol, say if you try and borrow, you want to borrow against if you have USDC and you want to borrow against BTC, how much the interest rate and all that, all the logic basically happens on the smart contract, and this is the smart contract is deployed on chain. Then we have protocol layer. When we talk about protocol layer, we talk about different protocols in DeFi, and this is where blockchain becomes a bank. Protocols are specialized smart contracts that provide specific financial services. Decentralized exchanges enable trust, trading, lending protocols let you like any yield and borrow against collateral, and stable coins provide stability. Each protocol operates autonomously 24/7, executing complex financial logic transparently on chain while remaining interoperable with every protocol in the system. And stable coins are like cryptocurrencies that are using smart contract on programmatic blockchains, which significantly reduces or eliminates price volatility by aiming to peg a fiat currency to like maybe US dollar. I'm sure you guys have probably heard of USDT or USDC before. Yeah, so that's like, for example, if you stablecoins gives users it gives them like a tool to manage like risks and allowing them to also engage with protocols like reliably, because ideally most coins, like you already know, they are quite volatile, and so protocol that the stablecoin removes the volatility in that aspect. And we also have the application layer, which is wallet, dApps, and user interface. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with like wallets like MetaMask, Rabi, different type of wallets. So that's just the application layer. That's what you use to interact with the dApps, and the dApps are where that allows you to interact with the smart contracts. But yeah, so I'll move to next slide, which is about the security and technical depth. Like I said, when we say code is law, I mean in blockchain, it literally means like that is the law. That's both the power and the danger. Like once a smart contract is deployed, it executes exactly as written, with no, like you can't do any override. I mean, there are parts of the smart contract where you can upgrade. There are upgradable smart contracts, but yeah, that's a different thing. I'm sure my Stephen will also talk about that. There's no customer service hotline. You same way, like for example, if you're seeing transactions just going out of your usual bank account, you see money leaving your account, you can call us a bank and just say, oh, well, something is going on with my account, or try and block immediately. But that's in with this one, that's it's just done. A bug in a traditional software is an inconvenience, but a bug in a smart contract is permanent. It's a permanent way to exploit millions. We've seen this play out severally, repeatedly, like from a DAO act losing almost $60 million to Parity Wallet freeze, locking about 280 million forever. You can imagine what it takes locking that kind of money forever, how ridiculous it is. Every line of code becomes permanent, which means vulnerability does cost too. This is why security isn't an option. It is existential. We need to mandate security. That's why if you write a smart contract, you need to audit it, make sure the smart contract does what it's supposed to do. And this is why we also have test nets on the blockchain, where you allows you to practice different. Basically, that's why test nets exist. Basically, for breaking, you can break things with fake money. And we just do real world scenarios with the test net. Make sure you do enough testing before you actually deploy on chain. Because once you deploy on chain, it's final. The blockchain industry has learned this lesson the hard way. They've been able to just know that, oh yeah, this is real. In a real world where code is truly law, you better make damn sure that the code you're writing is actually bulletproof, because you cannot afford to make mistakes. Because once it's live, there's no going back. This immutability is what makes blockchain trustless and powerful. But it also makes the securities the single most important consideration in smart contracts development. The next slide shows some notable acts. You will see this. If you can, these are like notable acts that happened recently. You see how much has been lost. If you're interested, rather, yeah, these are things you could probably read up on, and you can read up on them on rekt.news. It's like I'll drop the link in the chat so you guys can read up on it. And so this also the next slide talks about your path into DeFi. There are different entries into DeFi, where you can go in as a smart contract developer, front-end developer, security auditor, or protocol research, or community manager. I'll just shortly just describe my entry into the protocol space or the blockchain space for you. I've been working as a front-end engineer for about three years before going into the blockchain space. I got basically going into blockchain from speaking to a friend. Ideally, I just thought, oh, what was the protocol and blockchain is a quick way to make money. I know people are just, if I hear crypto, oh, you can make money from it, you can make money from it. But there's so much more than just thinking about the money aspect, in the sense that you get to interact, see how the blockchain works, the EVM works, the Ethereum space itself. And in 2021, I took the leap, and I took a consensus bootcamp, which was where I learned more about how the EVM works, DeFi, DAOs, and all these things. Just building my own smart contract. So my advice is entering the blockchain space is I mean, the best time to enter the blockchain space is now. It's not as difficult as people make it seem. You just need to start little. Start by interacting with communities. Just read up on what the technology does. For example, after I finished my consensus bootcamp, I attended a lot of different hackathons where I met different people. So that's where you're gonna meet people who try with different minds and going to expand your knowledge in the blockchain space. Basically, you can also participate in hackathons. Workshops like this are very vital to your journey. There wasn't a lot of workshops like this when like the women in DeFi, what they're currently doing when I started when I wanted to enter the blockchain space. But yeah, And yeah, so you can see different path depending on which skills you need. These are the skills needed basically, but depending on which path you choose, I hope you stick to it all through. Yeah. And also, these are some learning resources I think might help. And yeah, just like Ethereum research, crypto zombies. Yeah. And like the slide says, remember the best time to enter Web3 was yesterday, and the second best time is now. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to pass it on to Steven. And if you have any questions, you can always drop them in the chat. And yeah, we'll probably answer them at the end of the session. Over to you, Steven.
Thanks, Toby.
It's supposed to be Mark. Yeah, let's go to Mark first.
Yeah, thank you, Toby, for that session. I would be sharing my screen now to walk you guys through real world implementations as regards DeFi and TradFi. As the TradFi here being what we all know as traditional finance, like what we all know as day-to-day banking. When you log into your Access Bank and you want to send money to your friend, your family. So that's TradFi, and DeFi here is all what Toby has mentioned about. So currently, right now in the world at large, we have about 1.3 billion unbanked people. So think about like in the entire global landscape of the world, there are 1.3 billion unbanked people. Now, this is not even DeFi or like TradFi or anything. It's just 1.3 billion unbanked people. And just so you might want to say, oh, am I part of the lucky ones? Am I part of the few lucky ones who has access to like this the regular banking technologies, irrespective of its drawbacks, irrespective of having to like make cross-border payments and telling and having to fight tooth and nail just to make a cross-border payment. You want to start. You figured, okay, maybe importation is your next line of business. How do you want to go about importation? You go to the bank. The bank is telling you to go and bring your grandmother's liver from somewhere to open up a dollar account so you can make payments, or you want to like invest in. You've been reading up about Japanese stocks and you would want to invest, and they're telling you, oh, you cannot change your naira to the Japanese yen because one or two things, maybe because your kidneys are not complete. So like that's like just like certain drawbacks we go day to day. So like what's this session all about? This session is going to be about explain knowing what we all go walking through all we all know is traditional finance. What are the established infrastructure regarding traditional finance, regulatory compliance, consumer protections, and what on DeFi, what is possible in terms of global accessibility, in terms of, oh, I my friend moved to Australia, but like I can get my friend to send me some money like without having to wait for days or wait for months. There's transparency. I don't need to tell someone to send me a screenshot of the transaction receipt, or like, oh, you've sent that money, send me a screenshot of that payment. I want to see like that screenshot to like for proof or like for that trust. Everything is transparent, it's auditable. There's innovation, like, and I'm going to talk about innovation in terms of like real world applications, like what can be built on top of DeFi. There's self custody and control. You control your money. There's self custody. You control how or what you can do with your money. If you want to go into a prediction market with your money, that's fine. If you want to move your money to some form of lending protocol, that's fine. If you want to move it into some form of yield and like just generate yield of your money, and no one is telling you, oh, you need to wait like 3 years for a credit check, you want to wait 5 years for a credit check, or like you don't have sufficient leverage, so we cannot lend you this kind of thing. So we're going to just look at the real world applications, and that's what this session is going to be all about. So first of all, what I like the current problems in TradFi, Toby already mentioned some, so we're just going to look at this. We're looking at settlement times in terms of like stock trades. We're looking at international wire transfer, delays, we're looking at high cost for these transfers, we're looking at access barriers, limited hours. Sometimes you have to wait for the markets to open in terms of like the New York Stock Exchange, waiting for the market to get open before you can place a trade, before you're getting into that trade that you're so sure of, that signal that you're so sure you want to get that company stock that you're so sure is going to boost, is going to go up. But there's limited hours to trading. You have to wait till like the market officially opens. But like with DeFi, there's none of that. We've got that 24/7 operation. There's no geographical limitation to it. There's opacity, no hidden fee structures. You don't get to transfer 1,000 naira, for instance, and like you're getting debited like 1,165 naira, and no one can explain where the 165 naira charges came from. Like it's not unclear to you. You don't need to go into the bank to go and shout like, "Oh, where are these charges coming from?" A real world example would be take a Western Union transfer from USA to the Philippines for $1,000. The fee is about 4.5%, which is about $45, and it takes a while for that money to get to the Philippines. I'll now think about like 700 or migrants all over the world that try to send money, how much rakes up in all of these fees, how much all of these fees cost, and how much is being burnt on fees. Then think about a DeFi stablecoin transfer via maybe a network like Polygon or a network like Stellar, which would just charge you 0.02 network fee or like 0.3% that dex swap fee. You can, and it would still go through in 2 minutes. You don't need to like wait for days. Say someone is sick at home and you need to send money home as fast as possible. Like these forms of international remittances do not need to take time anymore. So that's like one application of DeFi here. Another one would be lending and borrowing, so access to credit market. So if you have like that financial background and it's lending and borrowing, it's something you want to go into. Right now we're seeing the rise of new banks that are making these solutions possible in TradFi. But if you look at the in comparison to DeFi, you can see that the interest rate, the loan approval, the minimum amount spendable, the transparency, and the global access. It's not you can't compare it in terms of like what's happening on chain. On chain, you have that stable coin yield, that DeFi yield, and like just that access to like just make just generates income. We look at how much, like in terms of like protocol performances, CAVE, we've got about 33.108 billion in terms of APOR. You have a stable 2.8%. Look at Botanic Labs, stability yield of like 2.78%. Like this is what you get on chain, and like you have access to this without having to like do all of your usual credit checks, having to bring all of your you need to bring your bank statement for 6 months, you need to bring your bank statement for the last 1 year to get this loan approved. Like on chain, you just need some form of collateral, some form of leverage, and there is no discrimination. There is no, we cannot offer you this loan because you are a farmer, or you cannot offer you this form of loan because you do not bring in certain income. So like that's one of the advantages in terms of like real world application. We look at payment and remittances. I've always been speaking about payment and remittances because DeFi is not all about like crypto. It's not all about like cryptocurrency. It's not all about like meme coins or like making, or just maybe cross-border payments. Because I know I've just been heavy on payment and remittances in terms of like how it takes time, how the delays, the costs for all of this, the would I say network congestion. We look at how the partnership in terms of real world implementation, how MoneyGram and Stellar's partnership has boosted their monthly volume and settlement to 30 million monthly, and how they've been able. I can make it legible. Sorry. So, like in terms of like countries they've been able to go live in 170 countries plus. In Gorilla, the average settlement time has also increased to about 10%, reducing all of what they used to do by 99.9%. That's just the benefit of going on chain. We would also talk about like other global companies who have been able to like establish or set up on chain integrations and how fast their settlements have now gone. A challenge here would be converting crypto to local currency, which would still be a drawback. We'd talk about in slides ahead. So another real world application is trading and market access. We know what traditional trading is. I spoke about it in the early slides. When market hours, you need to wait for market hours to open. You need to wait for like certain requirements, geographical restriction, investor limitation. But when it comes to DEX trading or DeFi trading, they have that instant settlement. There's that 24/7 trading. Every hour, every minute, the market is always open and it's permissionless. It's global. You can be somewhere in like Far East Asia and you're still trading, and like Stephen could decide to be in Australia and still have access to that DEX trading platform. And that's what DeFi brings us. It just brings that global compatibility and global access. We look at how much in volume certain DEXs are doing right now. We look at Uniswap, who is doing an all-time cumulative of about 1.5 trillion. So now think about like we're doing, Uniswap is able to do 1.5 trillion on chain, and we still have about 1.3 billion people unbanked in the world. So think about how much they would be able to do if we're able to integrate successfully with the unbanked. We look at the daily dash volume, we look at the unique traders and like the token pairs compared to the New York Stock Exchange listing of 8K. We have about 100K token pairs. So it just gives you how much like what's possible in terms of relativity and like how um here is just a simple innovation, like innovative example of like what market makers look like on chain and off chain in terms of TradFi and DeFi. The minimum capital required to become a market maker, the licensing, and the profit share. Is you can see is there's just more benefits to moving all of these on chain or having it integrated on chain. We talk about yields and savings in terms of like APR generated. What is the yield? Because say you want to save, you want to plan for your future, and you don't want to do that. I'm gonna try to increase it. So we're just doing some yield comparisons here in terms of TradFi and DeFi. What traditional finance yield looks like and what on-chain yield looks like, and how much and what's even the minimum to like get all of this compound. Can is it clear now? Please comment on the chat if it's clear so I can like just make it better.
So you can proceed. Don't worry, Mark.
Okay, yeah. So like basically, like we just look at like the comparison in terms of like risk level, who it's backed by in yields and savings, like what you need to like get this yield. To look at the Botanic Labs STBTC, a minimum of $5, and like you're getting an APR of 2.78%. Like just how stable is it? The compound USDT in terms of their own yield and like risk level also. So we'll look at also insurance and risk management because, like, well, what's DeFi without insurance or risk, or what's innovation without insurance and risk? So we have a smart contract based insurance that pays out automatically when certain predefined conditions are met in terms of eliminating claims and processing disputes. If you've ever worked in risk management, you'd understand how difficult it is to process a claim or to like eliminate disputes. And these are things that can be resolved over smart contracts that have been audited. And like the smart contract handles all of the processing of these things. We look at how, in comparison to like what traditional insurance looks like and what different insurance looks like, when you have smart contracts initiating automated payout, there are transparent conditions. So conditions like when A is red and B is blue, can you initiate this payout? That's as simple as it can be. And like you have very low operating costs. You have global coverage. There's algorithmic pricing, and there's no human intervention. The only human intervention can come in terms of auditing, and like us like Toby mentioned, you can then go into like have a career in auditing protocols as a security researcher, and so like that would be where the human intervention comes in terms of like auditing what this contract does. But like there's transparency, because it would be clear to the contract that okay, A is red right now and blue, and B is blue. So this this payout can be initiated. Um, this can be cleared. So we look at what active DeFi insurance protocol pools look like. We look at Nexus Mutual, look at the insurance pool, look at Ethereum, how many active insurance policies they have, like, and the average premium on that also. Next, we look at asset tokenization. So if you are aware of when like the whole NFTs were a thing, that's like also a form of asset tokenization. But like asset tokenization has moved past NFTs. Now we have like real tokenization of real world assets in terms of like houses. So think about a house now. Like you have a family heirloom, you have a family house, but you do not want to sell the house. You do not want to sell all or sell all 100% of the house, but you want to tokenize the house so that you can have like other people come and like buy portions or like percentage out of that token. And definitely knowing how the real estate market is, the house could appreciate in value or depreciate in value. Same likewise the tokenized value of that house. It could appreciate in value or it could depreciate in value, and that way you're opening access to like having, would I say, more leverage on your house, having like financial backing on your house without even selling it. So that's like what you gain from tokenizing your house. And this would not imagine all of the paperwork you have to go through to do this in a usual TradFi. If you wanted to say invest in real estate, you know what the minimum requirement is. But say there was a house listing that has already been tokenized on chain, is easy with as little as $100 or like 1,000 naira, you're able to get it. You're able to have a share value of that asset, of that token, of that house, basically. And when it appreciates in value, your $100, your investment, your initial investment would also appreciate in value. And you can see the minimum investment $1, and it just takes 1 minute to just have a share value of whatever asset. We look at protocols doing this. We look at the Realty project. We look at the Centrifuging Lake, how they're tokenizing real world assets. Realty works with real US rental properties, and like what the current asset value is and how many investors they have. Currently, look at Goldfinch, who are doing emerging market loans as regards having real world assets as backed for leverage. So like these are just some of the exciting things in terms of like tokenizing real world assets, and like how DeFi can like you can apply DeFi to this. So you can now start thinking about, oh, okay, we have like businesses that can stem out of this. We have this house, or we have this family house. How can we tokenize it so we can have like people buy share values or share values out of this tokenized house, or out of this new tokenized asset, basically. Look at decentralized identity and credit. So basically, like how you understand how a credit system works, when you can pay for something on credit, and or like pay in three, if you're familiar with like tools like Klarna or like PayPal. So basically, like that credit system, that trust system, that okay, yeah, like we are releasing this assets to you, or this product to you, on the fact that you are going to pay, or you have some form of credit trust. So usually on TradFi, the credit system evolution looks like you need 1 year, at least 1 year, to build your credit trust. You need at least incoming payment. You need to be fully employed, have like gainful employment. Some would even like require certain documents, and it's basically country specific, limited data resources. But on chain, your credit builds immediately. The moment you start transacting, you're building portability. The metrics are all transparent, because there's I mean, immutable record or an immutable ledger ledger of all of your transactions. So it's easy to calculate like what should this user's credit rating look like. And the data is all user owned and verified because I mean it's transparent. And we look at how like credit protocols are doing like TrueFi, Maple Finance, Goldfinch again also, and like in terms of like the default rate compared to TradFi. The challenge here is that privacy and transparency balance. So how can you like you if in terms of how how transparent can it be? Because then again, it's a credit system. So, but we have like solutions like zero knowledge proofs emerging as a solution to prove credit worthiness without revealing the actual transaction details, basically. So now we now combine all of the challenges and like what's the honest assessment here. We understand that it's going to take users a while to like get into all of these features and all of these added advantages or like implement real world implementations of DeFi because most users find it really complex, like having to now I most users already find it difficult managing their passwords, ideally, or managing like their login details. Now you're bringing in, I have to manage a whole lot of seed phrases. Like, come on, I haven't even managed my what's it called? My password. I can't even remember my password already, and you're telling me I need to manage seed phrases. I need to manage hashes. So like that's why they're finding it complex. But like already building the DeFi community. They're building abstractions on top of this. Like social recovery to make it seamless and easy as okay, you just want to log into your bank, making it as easy as logging into your bank account and having that same user feel, user experience. An example of this, a real world example of this is you look at Telegram and Ton, how Telegram was able to incorporate with the Ton protocol network, and that way it was just easy for regular Telegram users to get accustomed to using the Ton protocol because they use Telegram on a day to day. So that's like an innovation of like account abstraction basically. So Ton is working underneath the hood while Telegram is that big wrapper, and like you as a regular Telegram user would not know that, oh, I'm using Ton underneath the hood, but then again it's now running on like a protocol. So like that's an example of how account abstraction would be a perfect solution to the complexity that users face in terms of experience, in terms of interaction. We look at scalability most times due to like it's still groundbreaking technology. Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah. Good user experience will drive massive adoption in DeFi. And that's what we're actually working on right now. We're working on scalability in terms of like network congestion. So, knowing that it's a groundbreaking innovation, it's a new innovation coming into into the industry. There's times where there would be like technological gaps and network congestion, but this has been fixed over the past years in terms of L2s coming up. Like the company I work right now, Botanics Labs, is an L2 that has come up and made transactions go really, really fast. And we're talking about like sub 7 seconds transactions. So like these are solutions that are still being built. And like off this call, you can also like think of like solutions where, oh, how can I get into this? How can I do this? What do I need? Like you can always reach out to any one of us, and we'll be able to like guide you or like walk you through those paths. So regulatory clarity in terms like regulations, like the laws in the UK do not apply to France, and the laws in France do not apply to Nigeria. The laws in South Africa do not apply to Nigeria. So like these are the regulatory clarity we need in terms of like, oh, what is the legal status here? What is allowed and what is not allowed? But we have like the MICA framework coming in the EU to for all European Union member states, and like this is the framework guiding development, guiding protocol innovation, and like we also have like frameworks emerging. We have like the SEC coming in, and like also like listing most of these crypto assets or like these DeFi protocols as like securities to like just gain that user trust, to gain that regulatory balance. And we're looking at like maybe a timeline of 2 to 5 years, and in 2 to 5 years, we might see that balance come into play. We understand the risk of like smart contract hacks. We understand how like these protocols can be hacked. Like that's one thing to understand. So like audit. Toby spoke about audit. So audit is one thing that would never stop within the DeFi landscape, because like we always want security. Security should be the first and foremost thing because of the impact of what these hacks can do. Because no one will want to wake up and hear that, oh, all of my money has been lost, all of my asset I invested this, or oh, I invested 10,000 here, and I was already getting a yield of 13,000, but look at today they've been hacked and I have zero. I'm back to zero. We know how depressing that can be. It can send some of us back to the village, but like then again, like we don't want that. So like security is great. When we talk about volatility, like I said when I was mentioning tokenization of real world assets, these real world assets can go up, can appreciate in price, or they can depreciate in price. So like it's that volatility. So you don't want, when you tokenize your house asset that was originally worth about $500,000 on the market, and by the time you've tokenized it and there's some form of volatility, market volatility, and there's some form of like degradation, and your house is now worth 300,000, you're going to be like, what? Who led me to this? So like understanding that volatility and like where it falls short. But like these are things that like regulatory clarity would fix, audit would fix, also to like control that market volatility, to control that user would I say user panic, basically, because when the users panic, when the communities panic, the market also panics, basically. And like recovery right now, like we're looking at recoveries. Oh, blurry. I thought I increased it. Yeah, but like recovery in terms of like transaction reversal, but now we have things like time logs, multi-sigs, and like social recovery, where we can actually track the account and like figure out where the funds went to. So like we understand that DeFi transparency has allowed users to like exit Luna before collapse, and like if you're ahead about the whole Luna collapse, so it's just different risk profiles, not necessarily different higher risk. So we just look at the adoption barriers, like I mentioned, technical complexity, seed phrases, gas fees, addresses intimidate newcomers, like because imagine having to know your account number and you're telling me, oh, I also need to know this address, and like it just doesn't make sense to a new users. So like that also a regulatory fear. I don't want to get into this because I'm not sure how it's going to affect my taxes, or the government is going to come after me because I'm instead of saving on maybe with my usual issue. I'm saving on chain. The government is going to come after me. Oh, internet money is just going to disappear on one delete. So things like that. So that fear, and like that fear of customer service. No one is going to respond to me when things do. When shit hits the fan, basically, who am I going to reach out to? Who am I going to call? Like things like that. So like that fear of recourse is like one of the things like that hinders adoption ideally. So we're just looking at like the future basically of DeFi and TradFi. So like we're not it's not a competition basically. It's more or less integration. Like I mentioned for Telegram and Ton, it's not a competition. There's no competition like who is it's not like the moon landing where it was the Soviets and the USA. So there's no competition here. It's just integration, because integration is just gonna is what's going to drive that massive adoption, because you cannot say you want to move all of the users from Access Bank to an Ethereum chain. Like it's not going to happen. Like let's be real, you cannot do that. But you can make Access Bank adopt it, so the native users of Access Bank now become the native users of that chain. So like we've looked at how like in banks like JP Morgan, Bank of America have been doing their research, like in the BlackRock, PayPal, USD. So all of this Yeah, something like that, like tokenization of reward assets, exactly. So like now we now have that massive adoption coming this year, tokenized standards. Everyone wants to have a piece of the pie right now because they've all done their research. They've seen that, oh, okay, I can make settlements faster. So why do I want my users to have like 3 day settlements when settlements could have happen under 5 minutes? Why do I want to have like why do I want to do a credit search or a credit history check for maybe 2 days when all of this can be pulled on chain off in like in a couple of minutes? So like everyone's saying like, oh, there's actually real value to this, and we're seeing massive adoption here. We're seeing what's happening all around the world, and even like you can see like adoptions everywhere basically, even in like Africa. You can see JP Morgan, BlackRock, Visa, USDC settlement. Visa is already testing their USDC settlement. You see that, oh, okay, like this this shit is fast. Like I can make users are going to be happy. Users are going to be able to access their funds and make settlement from anywhere in the world without having that geographical geolock or like geographical restriction. So by just like projection for 2030, we would have by like about 10 trillion tokenized assets. We would have the 50 plus countries, 1 billion DeFi users, and like 80% on chain. But that's just like a 2030 prediction. It's like I said, it's a prediction, a not an assumed position for the future. So the hybrid model, like I said, is win for both worlds: regulatory compliance, insurance, dispute resolution, and customer service. And we have that DeFi where we have 24/7 operation, transparency, programmability, global access, and efficiency. And what we will get in the result is regulated DeFi protocols with institutional grade security and consumer protection. Ideally, and in conclusion, the financial revolution is here. We've gotten our key takeaways. We're solving real world problems. We're going to make global impact. There's institutional validation because you can see institutions coming and like getting a piece of that cake. But we know that the technical challenges remain. That it is convergence, not replacement. We're integrating, not replacing. There's no fight. There's no challenge. There's no, oh, this has come to stay, or this has come to replace. And there is that early opportunity window. And like I said, the best, like Toby said, the best time to get in is not today, it was yesterday. So like you can always get in. It's never too late to get in. If you want to lend, you want to borrow, you want to save, you want to do credit, you want to tokenize your real world asset, there's opportunity for everyone. You want to come in as a researcher and you just want to research protocols and like make protocols better, that there's room for everyone. So like DeFi is not just about cryptocurrency speculation. It's not all about making money fast or like that meme boost. It's all about rebuilding like global financial system to be more inclusive, efficient, transparent. The protocols being built today will be the financial infrastructure for tomorrow. We look at it that the numbers do not lie. We look at how cost reduction is being reduced. You don't pay so much heavily for all of those cross-border payment. The speed also has increased, and look at how the expansion and the yield improvement has been compared to like traditional savings. And I would end it here and hand it over to Stephen.
Thank you so much, Mark, and hello again, everyone. So I'm going to be sharing my screen in a bit, and essentially, I'm going to be talking to us around a live demo session. Well, just give me a minute so I can share my screen, please. Can we see my screen now? I believe we should be able to see my screen now. So I'm just going to move on. So yeah, my objective here is quite simple. Essentially, we're going to talk about, or what we're going to learn about here would be how smart contracts manage and store data on the blockchain, right? The next thing we're going to learn would be the security patterns that prevents millions in losing. I mean, that prevents millions in losses, right? And as the third point is to learn the difference between reading data and writing data. And finally, we're going to learn how to deploy and interact with um, blockchain or contract, the smart contracts with industry standard tools. However, before we start, I'm sure it's not everybody here that is on the tech side of things. And so for those that are interested, essentially there are three things that are important for this session, which are just a basic knowledge of programming language, right? And to understand that blockchain is an immutable and distributed database. And finally, you don't need any prior experience to following or understanding what is going to be done here. So yeah, we just go on with it. Sharing my slides now. So yeah, like Toby and Mark had previously mentioned.
Sorry for cutting you short. Please, can you zoom in a bit, like make it full screen?
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
is it better now?
Yes, I think it is.
Okay, so like Toby and Mark have previously mentioned, right? What is blockchain? So I'm going to be like toning this down just a little bit, just so we can easily grasp all of this whole idea, right? So the blockchain, just think about it as a computer, right? First off, it is immutable in the sense that once you write anything, like Toby had already spoken about earlier, when it comes to like contract, when you write something, right, it can't be changed. So that is why security again is very important. The next point is transparency. Everybody can really see whatever it is that you're doing on the transaction, right? So all of the transaction details, the hash of the transaction, how long it has taken, and all of those things. It's not private to anybody, so it's transparent to the general public. The third thing is decentralization, right? Blockchain is decentralized in the sense that um, it can't have any single point of failure essentially, because the whole idea of blockchain is that a lot of computers are coming together to like make blockchain, right? So block of chains essentially, right? So a lot of validators or nodes, as you will, are coming together to like make sure that whatever it is that is being passed on the smart contract is being obeyed to the point or to the dot, right? And so the last thing that should note is that it is expensive, right? So writing data costs money, right? And on this demo that we're going to do, Toby had also said earlier, we're going to be running it on a test net. And the reason why we are running it on a test net is because it costs some money, and we want to make sure that whatever it is that we are doing, we are not using real money. We are just using a test money, essentially just to get an idea of what the whole process is all about. The next thing I'm going to talk about is gas. So you must have heard gas fee, gas fee, gas fee. So what's gas fee all about? Right. So it's essentially like, just think about it like an electricity bill for blockchain. So every operation that costs it, every operation that you do would cost a particular amount of money. In as much as not every operation that you do costs, but we have the reading operation and we have the writing operation. Most of the time the reading data is free, or the reading operation is free, but whenever it comes to like writing or making some changes here and there, that requires payments, and that we have to pay. And without those payments you can't you know you can't take up, or you can't complete a transaction. That is why when you notice, when you try to send money on chain, right, you would probably need to pay some fee, which is the gas fee, to make that transaction completed, right? And why does it exist? First off, to prevent spams, right? Validators, it pays valid, or validators get paid when they secure the network. And like I had said or mentioned earlier, on the idea of blockchain, the fact that we have different nodes that come together to like make sure that every single transaction is real and is true, right? These nodes that are being used as gatekeepers in quotes, or like security guards, they're the ones that make sure that every single transaction is real and there are no spam or scams happening, right? But before they do their stuff, they also have to be paid. Like there has to be an incentive to give to the different validators So these gas fee are one of the incentives that are given to the validators in the sense of like a reward. All right. So gas fees also pays validators who secure the network. And finally, particularly for the demo, right, we are going to be working, the gas fee that we are going to be using would be measured in WEI or WEI, as you will, right? And it is the smallest unit of Ethereum. And I had dropped a simple mathematics there, like 1 ETH equals, I'm not sure I can mention this figure, but like it has 18 zeros essentially, right? And 0.01 ETH also has 16 zeros. So using this math, you can easily just calculate whatever ETH that you are trying to do. Next slide. Essentially talking about addresses and accounts. And as Toby had mentioned also on his presentation, right? We have smart account and we have wallet addresses, So an example of an address is a string of numbers and letters. So it's not like normal address that we are used to, right? The main thing about it that we should know is that these accounts are controlled by private keys. For example, MetaMask, right? So the next thing is that the contract accounts rather are controlled by our smart wallets, which would in this case be our smart contracts, right? For the demo that we're going to run very soon. And lastly, addresses are like bank account numbers, but public. So in this case, in as much as you have your own address, it can be seen by everybody. It might not be accessible like to everybody because you have to give somebody your address for them to like know what your address looks like. But essentially, if any investigation needs to be carried out on your address and the person has prior knowledge or of what your address is, they can easily just take your address and look for whatever it is they're looking for without having to contact you about it. That is why when it comes to the blockchain space, it is very transparent, like we had said earlier. And when you are trying to do some shady deals, it is going to be very obvious, which is why, I don't know, some years ago, we heard about some fraud that was going on here and there with some people dealing with blockchain currencies, essentially. And this is the reason why any single person can notice or fish out any fraud that has been carried out on the chain. So finally, I think it's time for the demo session. Yeah. And so before I'm going to start this demo session, right, there are three things that are important. First is that you have a laptop that you have with you currently. And the next thing would be that you have MetaMask also, and you have access to GitHub and Remix IDE. Like I said earlier, I know not everybody on the call would probably be like tech savvy, and so it is fine if this is not your part and you are just following through as much as you can. So yeah, I'm going to be going into, please give me a second. I'm going to be going into it like a bit. So here we have this is my GitHub page, and it's just a simple smart wallet contract to essentially just show how the core concepts of like blockchain development, how it works, right? Which includes state management, access control, and kind of like secure funding in blockchain, how it is handled in blockchain. So that is what this is going to be about. And on this simple contract, I already wrote out on the README, as we can all see. This is a simple deployment instruction. It is I made it as simple as possible. So even if you're unable to follow it right on this call, you can still go ahead with it on your own time. If you probably have all of these things, like if you don't have it currently and you have it later, you can just come back to this GitHub page. I think the link is already on the chat also. So you can just come back to this GitHub page, follow the instructions, and then you can, do exactly or all of what we are going to do right now. So I'm going to open up the smart contract. Before I go on, let me show you guys my
Please
meta.
can you zoom in?
I'm sorry.
Can you zoom in?
To the GitHub page.
No, no, zoom in your screen. Zoom. Yeah, I think it's okay now. Continue,
Uh,
please.
the problem with this is,
Okay, it's a large
um,
screen.
yeah, I'm using a screen, and so I won't be able to. Uh,
Okay, you can
yeah.
just continue then.
So I mean, it's the same thing I dropped on the page, so everybody can just open it on the side and follow as I
Okay,
do.
no problem.
Or for those that have joined on their phone, I'm sorry, but yeah. Is it better now? I mean, I think it's a little legible now.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So yeah, this is the. Oh, I was going to show you my MetaMask. So here's my MetaMask, and like I said, we are dealing with, or we are going to work on the test nets, right? We are not going to work on main nets. So this is a test net, and the test nets I'm currently working on is the Cephalonia ETH, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to run through like this whole code base and what it means, and so we are not just all lost in it. So like the first line, the pragma solidity is essentially just the version of the solidity version that we are running on, right? The next the next part, which is like might need to okay here, this part here, right, talks about the fact that it is public and everyone can see it, right? Mapping address, which is the next line, also does mean that, I mean, just think about it like a Python dictionary or a JavaScript object, you know. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to talk about this very fast because we don't have as much time anymore. Um, yeah, so like I said earlier, just think about it as a Python dictionary, and the unit 256 that we see there in the next line, unit 256 public total deposit, right, essentially means that is an unsigned integer, right? And so an unsigned integer as regards the fact that, I mean, that is what we are currently going to be working with on. Once we go ahead with deploying the contracts, we are going to see all of this in like real time, essentially. And so it also means that we are running all of these things on that these are the total ETH that will be deposited. I'm sorry if I'm kind of stuttery, but all of these things is a little beyond my stuff because I'm a DevOps engineer and I essentially just work with deploying these things, making us see. But I also understand that we are new to this and I'm trying to make us understand the code base as much as we can, right? So I'm going to be running through it again. Like I said, we have three different events: the deposits, the withdrawal, and the transferred, and the ownership transferred, right? And this essentially means that the reason why these events matter are because they are stored in transaction logs, right, and not in contract storage. So that essentially means it is cheaper. Front-end applications also listen to these different updates, and they update the UI accordingly. Um, the indexed part or the index user, the index parameter also can be filtered, it can be searched. And essentially, I think we can only search with three different events at a single time. Um, a real world use of this would be like when Etherscan, when you go on Etherscan and it shows all of the events, wallets track, um, wallet tracking tokens or token transfer on a single event, right? So these are like in quotes like receipts. You can think about it as receipts, and the blockchain or the blockchain here keeps a bunch of these receipts so that it can be looked into like a logbook that can be looked into at any single point in time. Next we go to the modifier. Yeah. the only owners and all like this next, yeah, this next block essentially talks about the fact that how we can execute before the functions are attached to, right? Um, it's also reusable in the sense that once we write, I mean, now that it's been written, it can be used anywhere and everywhere, right? And so it's not like particular to one particular place. Um, Next point is, I mean, I'm just going to go through the next stage, to be honest, because I'm not sure explaining line by line is what we all want to say. So,
Yeah, I would suggest probably just go to the deployment. You don't
yeah,
have to worry
exactly.
about
I'm
it.
not to explain the code. So, yeah, like I said, we have this is smart contract essentially, and what the whole smart contract does, like I
Yeah.
said already, is to show us the basic concept of like the blockchain and what we can do with it essentially around error handling, around access control, and also around state management. So we are going to be using the Remix IDE also for this. The Remix IDE, you could just think about it as um, a VS Code for Solidity contract, essentially, right? It helps us essentially to deploy Solidity contract as easy as possible, connecting it to our MetaMask and, deploying and all of those things. So right now, I'm just going to delve right into this stage. So the first things first, we need to create a new contract, and I'm going to call it smart contract or smart demo.sol, right? And then I'm going to copy all of this and paste it in it.
So we're going to deploy brand Linux. Yeah.
Why you do that, Coxie, can you post the crypto zombies on the chat? So it's basically a platform for you guys to learn about Solidity. It's a beginner friendly like game, so I think that's it's very interactive in the sense that you can just play with it, and yeah, it allows you to be more familiar with smart contracts and the deployment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, done that already. Also,
Right.
if you have some questions, feel free to just drop the questions.
Okay.
And
So like I already showed you also, I already have my MetaMask installed already. So you might want to have this installed to follow this demo as we are going to do, because all of what we are going to be doing here would be interacting directly with the MetaMask and with our ETH tokens that we have here, right? When you create your MetaMask, first things first is you need to have an account, and from that account you come here. Here we have these are like the mainnet address. I mean the different mainnets that we have, and here we have our testnet. And for this testnet, like I said, you would work with Cephalonia, right? So I've chosen my Cephalonia network, and this is the current ETH that I do have under the Cephalonia network. Um, if anyone has MetaMask installed already and all of the stuff, and you need some ETH, some Cephalonia ETH, you can just let me know on the chat, and I'm going to send you some just so you can follow with the demo. So the next thing I'm going to do would be to compile this smart contract that we have, and to compile it, you're going to know that it works when you compile it. There's going to be a green check mark here, right? So yeah. Okay, yeah, before you compile, also make sure that your compiler is equal or more than the version for the Pragma Solidity that we have here, right? So you can change that from this point here, right? So anything from 0.8, which is down here, anything from here upward works. So I just choose the latest version that we have, compiler version that we have here, right? And so, like you can see, we have this already, which essentially means that our compilation was successful. Next thing we are going to do would be to come to the deploy and run transactions part here. And on this part, this is where we connect to, this is the point where we connect to our MetaMask, right? And so what you want to do here is to come to the environment. Then this is where you connect to MetaMask that suggested earlier. Injected provider MetaMask. This is what we're going to choose. And it's going to bring a pop-up asking you to connect to MetaMask. Has brought my pop-up on my other screen, and I'm just going to click on connect. Right. So I've connected now, and you can see that this is okay. Let me just show you so we can. So you can see my address, the address that it shows here, right? It starts with OX4EE and it ends with 3F BBC. And you can see the token that we have 0.98, blah, 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 right? ETH. So this is what we have. And when I open my MetaMask, you can see first off that we have 0.92 ETH, just like, I mean, this is the rounded up figure. And we can see here that we have 0.9816, blah, blah, blah. And for the wallet address here, when I click on receive, yeah, you can see that this matches essentially what we have here. This essentially means that my MetaMask is already connected to this particular smart contract, right? Yeah. The next thing we want to do would now be to deploy and verify, right? This essentially means that we are now trying to deploy the smart contracts that we have and start interacting with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. So again, once you click on deploy and verify, you are going to get another pop-up from MetaMask asking you to confirm that you are about to deploy a contract or a smart contract to it. And it wants to make sure that everything, I mean, is not a scam or whatever. So you essentially you need to confirm this process as well. So I just confirmed the process, and yeah, we can now see the status here. I'm going to kind of try and increase this a little bit. So we can see the status here. And now we can see verification contract deployed. Right. So now at this stage, different blocks or different nodes are trying to verify this contract to make sure that everything is good and it is not a scam contract or a malware contract or whatever it is. And now as you can see, it is successful. We know it's successful because now, I mean, it shows verification successful both on Sourcify and on Block Scout. Now, these different sources, Sourcify and Block Scout, are ways where you can like check. Let me just open one so you can see. Can you guys see this? So now this is, I mean, from what we have deployed, we now have like a smart contract. We have a smart address. I mean, we have our own contract address, and it shows here on Sourcify. This is our new contact. I mean, contract address to be specific, and it essentially just shows all of what we've just done. Right. So as you can see, this is the compilation that we have just done: smart demo sol, language solidity, and all of those other stuff. So these are part of why I said, no matter whatever it is that you are doing, it is visible to like everybody, and nobody is hiding. You can't hide anything essentially. So everybody sees how everything has been created, and it shows the transparency that we have here. Anyway, so when we come down here, this is the contract that has just been deployed, and now we can see all of the interactions that we can have with it. So this next part that we're going to work on essentially talks about, or is going to show us the stuff around state management. It's going to show stuff around access control, fund handling or secure fund handling, as the case may be, right? And all of the stuff. We can see that we have different color codes on the interaction parts for the smart contracts. We have the red, which essentially speaks deposits. We have emergency withdrawal, transfer ownership, withdraw, balances, and all of these other stuff. What I want you guys to understand is the fact that all of these have been written. So, I mean, if you can have some time to, after the demo, just go through the code, then you can see that all of these different parts are at one point or the other defined on the smart contract code that we have here on the side. So the color codes that are on orange essentially tells you that whenever you interact with any of those stuff, you're going to need gas fee to interact with them. For these other ones that are blue, that means you can interact with them, free of charge, without you won't be charged any gas fee, right? So, like we had said earlier, now our smart contract has been deployed, right? Is visible on Sourcify and is also visible on Block Scout, as we can see, right? This is Sourcify and it's also visible on Block Scouts, right? But now we have a contract, which essentially means we have a contract address, right? We have a smart contract account. Now this is our smart contract account, but we don't have anything in it, and we know that because if I click on get balance or get contract balance first, it goes through a couple of calls, right? And once I open the debug, right, we can see it has returned a value of 0. I don't know if you guys can see this, but let me see if I can zoom in a little more. No, I'm not sure I can. But I hope you guys can see or at least follow on your own time while watching this video again, right? But essentially, it shows when I scroll down, you can see the result, which is what we have here, right? It shows 0. But I mean, before this, just looking up here, you can see that it has 0 ETH deposited in it. So now, like we had seen in this demo, here, if we want to deposit 1 ETH, right, we have to have this particular value. You have to have the 1 ETH in your MetaMask, as I have here. Okay, we have to have so when it comes to MetaMask also, you can see that I have a new stuff that says contract deployment. This essentially means, right, that like all of the confirmation that we did earlier shows that, and while I was confirming and deploying the contract, it was also being registered on MetaMask. And as you can see, 13th of December, smart contract deployments, and it has charged 0 Cephalia ETH.
Student, you're still sharing your slide.
Yeah, can't you see my MetaMask?
No, we can't see your MetaMask, just your slide.
Oh,
You should try to share your entire screen, not just a section.
hold on, let me see how I can share my MetaMask.
You can see your MetaMask, like the website.
I'm not even particularly sure of how to use this one I just opened up.
Okay, I think you should just
You
Yeah,
can move on to the demo.
sorry.
So you can move on to the demo and show your running.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now with showing how to deposit on this smart contract, right? And so what I wanted to copy here was this figure, right? Once I copy this and come back to my, I come back here, and so on this value placeholder, I'm going to place in the value of the ETH that I want to deposit into my smart contract account, right? So what happened, or what is going to happen now, is in fact that this is going to go through all of the validations that it needs to go to and deduct this money from my MetaMask account and then deposit it into my smart contracts account, right? And so I've already pasted it. So this value here is essentially 0.01 ETH. Like I have shown here also earlier, the current balance is 0.0, I mean just 0 ETH. But once I click on deposit now, we're going to see that that value is going to change. And while the value changes, we'll also see some activities going on here, which essentially shows the process that the deposit is going through. So I'm going to do that just now. And while this happens also, there is another pop-up that is coming up on MetaMask to confirm that you're about to deposit 0.01 ETH. And once I can click on that, then as you can see, so some activities are already going on. And it's going to take about 10 to 30 seconds. And we're going to see the result of that now. So just give it a few seconds. Right. So as we can see, the figure has changed. Right. Now we have 0.01 ETH, which essentially means that the transaction has gone through. Once I open this log also, we see the transaction hash, we see the block hash, the block number, and all of the stuff. We also see that he has left these accounts, which is my MetaMask account, and it has come into this account, which is my smart contract address or wallet address, like I've shown you guys earlier here. So um, this, coming back to, okay, let me just continue. Um, so like I said, we can essentially see all of the, nitty gritties that are going on under the hood for this stuff that I've just done, right? And you can now see that the value of ETH I have here is 10 million or 10 billion, whatever 16 figures would be, right? Now, if I click on get contract balance again, right? If I click on get contract balance again, we see that the figure changes, right? So now this shows how much we have in real time. This shows how much we have in real time, and we can now see on our value here, right? Decoded output, which shows the figure of the ETH that we have. Just in the same balance, we can also like withdraw some money. We can add some money, and so I don't know if just to make it a little more interactive. Does anyone have MetaMask installed, or is anyone following? So I can like send this money as a withdrawal to the person's testnet account. Does anyone have it? Or I could just go ahead and test with my own personal MetaMask. Okay, I guess no one is following. So I'm just going to copy my own address, and then I'm going to try sending the money back into where I've withdrawn it from, or at least a fraction of it. Right. So let me get my address. Receive, copy, and then I come to withdraw. I put my address here. I put the amount here that I want to take out. So I'm going to just put this figure here. And let me make sure the zeros are. Yeah. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put on the address that I want to withdraw into. Something that here. Right. I can click on withdraw, it already tells me, because of the fact that the figure I've already put in is more than um like what I already currently have. So he's already bringing in an information or a notice that, yeah, this thing is probably going to fail because you don't have as much gas, right? But just because I want to go ahead and just for the sake of testing, I'm going to click on yes and then confirm. All right. This the previous transaction that we had done, right? We can also still view on block scout, and then it's essentially going to show what was just done. So now, I mean, this is the newest one I've just done, which is the withdrawal. So this is the withdrawal, right? So it already shows the hash and every single detail about this. It shows that, yeah, this is failed. It kind of gives a reason why it has failed. Also, and I mean, like I said, also testnet only transaction, right? So we can see every single. I mean, just moving through, you can see whatever you would want to see. But yeah, the basic details are just what you see on the very first page, right? So this kind of shows the withdrawal. So let me, I'm sure I can put in a figure that would be able to withdraw. So yeah, I think we should be able to withdraw this now. And if I click on confirm, we also see withdrawal pending, right? And let's just give it some time, right? So now it's already withdraw successful. Um, Going back down again, we can see every single detail. So, like I said, nothing is hidden, nothing is, I mean, it's as visible as to everybody who needs to like come to confirm whatever it is that must have been done, right? And we can see the withdrawal amount um, here, right? This is the withdrawal amount here. And once I click on get contract balance again, you can see that the number has already changed, right? Because we have just withdrawn a fraction of what we had there before. Right? So this essentially it shows us this, on the same view. When I click on get balances and I put in my um, my address balance, my address wallet here, or my wallet's address rather, right? It also shows what we have left here also, right? And so, yeah, these are just basic interactions that we can essentially have with the contract. So I would encourage everybody, because I know now we are unable to like follow on the call like I'm explaining, right? However, um, we should be able to go back to this, like I said, like I've said earlier also. The smart contracts, the repo is currently public, so it can be accessed by everybody, and this is a very explanatory method on like description of how you can deploy this to your environment also. So I would really encourage everybody, just so you can have something to take off this talk that we just had this morning. And yeah, that would be the end of my presentation. Thank you guys very much. And I don't know if anyone has any question for me or for Mark or Toby, as we discussed earlier. So thank you guys very much for the for staying true to the end. I believe we've taken a little bit of your time this morning.
Well done, guys. Well done, everybody. Thanks for staying to the end. And like we promised, there's going to be a book quiz coming up in the next 5 minutes. We'll send the link to the quiz. You'll answer the quiz within 10 to 20 minutes because we're going to close the form. And the first, let me say, 10 people to answer the quiz correctly, we get some cash, like good cash. And I can see that a lot of questions that have been asked. One of them was, let me try to read it. Give me like 2 seconds. Someone asked a question. You can still drop your questions in case I'm missing it though. Okay. Okay, someone asked about the presentation slide. So I want us to just quickly share the slide so we could share it with them as well. And
Okay, so
yeah, thank you. I'm trying to scroll up to the previous questions. Got a lot of questions. Okay, someone asked about if anybody could share more light about how DeFi stock work, how one can get them, where and what one should look at for when investing in them. I don't know, any idea? Or publish, you send that to go and make research about it.
Okay, I can answer that one. This is not financial advice. We're not here for financial advice, but like basically, I would say maybe do your own research. But like some companies offer like stocks through like exchange traded products, like probably like trading pairs. So maybe you can look up GMX on Botanics Labs. Yeah, but like I said, do your own research. It's like this is not financial advice. I can't tell you like what indicators to look at because there are a whole lot of industries out there on chain. There is the identity personalization industries. There quantum. So like it just depends on whatever you want or whatever you feel is your passion or yeah, so I would say do your own research, but like companies offer like exchange traded products in terms of like crypto pairs or merging of certain like crypto protocols or like trading pairs together to like produce a maybe a trading bond or like a group of like trading or like investment pairs. Like you can just check that out. You can check out Binance. I think Binance offers things like that, but like I said this is not financial advice.
Thank you. So one more question about this investment of everything. Trillium was like in money that compounds over time and also generates interest. If the person is willing to set aside $100 monthly for investment, that's a lot of money. What would you recommend the person doing these days?
It's not a financial
Do
advice.
your own research. No financial advice here, please. Like do your own. I wouldn't say okay, this is what you're supposed to do, and it comes back to me and like oh like but Mark said this, but like I said, do your own research. Like I would say maybe look into Bitcoin because like Bitcoin is quite stable. Bitcoin is pretty much backed, but like do your own research. But
Okay.
yeah, maybe Bitcoin might be the way to go, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
All
Also,
right. So
I
someone
noticed
asked
someone
one
asked.
question. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. After this, we'll move to the question you want to take.
yeah, I
I don't
just
know.
what.
Yeah, about
Oh,
this.
let me go. Just someone asked a question about earlier on in my session about trying to get into the DeFi and what skills do you need? Do you need technical skills and how do front end developers get into DeFi?
Mhm.
I think the answer is quite is there. I wouldn't say you need to be particularly technical to enter DeFi. There are a lot of opportunities for you to enter DeFi, like being a community manager, being a product manager, a UX researcher. One thing the ecosystem currently lacks right now is we that adaptability in the sense that we are trying to get enough Web 2 users into Web 3, but there's always that barrier of the way the Web 3 works is much more technical than the way Web 2 works. If you're a simple researcher and getting that background and knowing all what's good, and how to basically transition people, that's something. And also the way about getting into front end developer, how a front end developer enters into DeFi. I would say the most simplest thing you could do for yourself is to join the communities, engage in the communities. Most of these communities have like hackathons you can easily join where they will ask you to build a simple decentralized exchange. Also interact with DEXs like just do interact with all those protocols, and yeah, over time you will basically learn it. I would say getting if you know if you are knowledgeable in the DeFi space, like 70% of what you know, you are very good with it in the DeFi space, you will be much more productive than someone just trying to learn to code in the Web5 space itself. And this is not to discourage you from coding itself, but I mean, knowing how the protocols work, how everything works in the DeFi space, that knowledge alone, I think is enough to set you going. So doing your research and just joining communities, interacting with people in the community, ask questions, join, um, yeah, all that, and I would basically, that's the best way to go.
Nice. So, to all the front-end developers here, I hope you have heard what Toby said. So, one more question here. He said that My question from the first session will be that identify entry skills or super technical.
Yeah, I think that's the question I just answered. Now, it doesn't have to be
Oh,
technical.
really?
You can enter as a UX researcher, community manager, product manager, a lot of different fields you can go in. And you don't need any programmable skills for that. At least you need the knowledge in the sense that you should know how you operate. I wouldn't say you should just go in blank. But at the same time, I think it's always best to start bit by bit. For example, understand what the UX barrier is in the Web3 space as a UX researcher, start doing your research. You need to read, you need to ask, you need to join this community and ask people questions. And yeah, getting all that data alone is enough to set you off. And yeah, that's how you enter the space.
All right. So this is the last question for me because it's kind of like um it's kind of was like I have a question since so many devices for ladies. So how about the men? What do we do? Thank God we have so many here, so you guys should please answer.
It's not just for ladies; it can be for you guys also. The same thing the girls are doing, you do it. There's no masculinity. Or, I mean, obviously the organizers are women in DeFi, but I think it's for everyone.
Yeah, I won't really deny that the ladies are doing so well. I come on, look how men different. Look at me, for example, I'm doing so well. So I don't know. You guys always asking about men community. Maybe Toby or I don't know, Mark could just open a community for you guys to join in. Or you guys could just ask the ladies, learn from us. We're ready to share our information and knowledge. So I think that's all for the questions. If there are no more questions, let's just move on to the quiz part. I'm going to share the link now. So drum roll. You have like 10 minutes to answer these questions, like 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, one of my DevRel, shout out to Sharice, she's going to close the form and you get any reward. But even if you answer the quiz, that doesn't mean that you get any reward, shall you have to just be lucky. Start praying, please. Start praying. God, please let me be favored. So I'm dropping it now. This is hold on. I'll send you the wrong link. Okay, let me send this right one. Give me 2 seconds. Let me know if you could access this form from your end. So this is the form. Sent it. Please let me know if you could access the form from your end. Can you access the form from your end, or do you need um someone to just help drop it? Can you access it from your end? Anybody? Please drop a message. Anybody? Can you access the form? Yeah, thank God. Nice. So okay. So you guys have like 10 more minutes to answer that. And when you do, we from in the form there we're trying to collecting your WhatsApp number, email and everything. So if you're one of the winners, we're going to send you an email or probably reach out to you on WhatsApp to send your bank details so we could just send you some cool cash. You know, we're in DeFi, so that's going to be cash to spend. So thank you everybody for this for being here with us. This is the last session for Women in DeFi, and we're happy that you guys could make it. I currently just shared some slides. One of the slides is from Toby, other one is from Stefan. I think they're together. Let me share them separately. This first one I'm sending now is for Toby. So, hold on. Yeah, Mark, maybe you could share yours too if you don't have yours. This is for Toby.
Yeah, I'll get it across to you.
So this one is for um, the other person. Then the last one will be sent probably much later. You could reach out to me or send us a DM via our social media handle as well. So thank you guys for being here. We appreciate everybody.
Sorry, quickly before you end the call, I just wanted to note that the slides for mine particularly are not the most important thing, but the GitHub repo. And I mean, if you scroll up the chart, you would see the repository URL there. So I think that's like the most important thing. So please just try as much as you can to go back to the repo. The README is quite, yeah, thank you very much. The README is quite understandable. And if you really don't get anything or one thing or the other is not quite clear, you could just reach out to us and then, or, probably leaving a comment or an issue on the GitHub repo and will be responded to in good time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. This has been like almost 2 hours of the session, and the OGs are the people that are currently sitting right here that are still with me. Like you guys are the best. You guys are the best. I really wish, if you know me, send me a DM. I will send you 0.01 Sepolia it. Yes, I'll send to you. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you guys. And Women DeFi, it's so proud to have you in our community. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.